It's done. Printing done. Time spent 6 hours and 23 minutes. Yes! I really went crazy on the supports just to make sure that everything would print properly. All right, we're gonna pack up the stuff we've been working on and get these out of there and see if they'll work, because if they do, it's gonna mean making new forests and trees is gonna be so quick and easy. Obviously, you know, minus the time it takes to print the tree trunks. This is so exciting. I actually made something in ZBrush and printed it myself. All right, the girls are here. This is so exciting. So exciting. You know, after having done all the trees and sculpting, you know, in the air dry clay, the little custom roots, I was watching some YouTube and I saw one of Trent's videos where he was making some 3D components to make some things easier. And I thought, I've got all this equipment. Why don't I jump into ZBrush and sculpt myself a basic little tree trunk that I can then slip these trees from Aldi, trim off a little bit at the bottom, and make myself a custom little, you know, Aldi tree stand. Now, I haven't used ZBrush for years, and it took me a little bit of time to, you know, figure things out again, look up some tutorials, and it took a little longer than I thought it was going to take, but at the end of the day, it was pretty straightforward. It was a super enjoyable project, and after naffing about with a prototype, I came back and made a second one. Oh, here's the prototype here. I made this prototype. It's just one. You know, it's exactly the same root structure. These are all the same root structure. There's only one version of this, and I simply scaled it down in what's called lychee to get this smaller one. But then I had to drill the hole out with a drill and obviously a drill bit, so I could put the tree trunks in there. And I thought, why don't I just use a Boolean operation in ZBrush and subtract out the holes, so, you know, I don't need to drill it out. It will already have it in there. And I'm super excited to see that it actually works for all of the tree sizes. I've made 4 different sizes of tree trunk, and that all seemed to work perfectly fine. If we trim a little bit off of this, I've trimmed a bit too much of the tree off. Don't need to trim so much of the tree off now. Look at this, this is so good. But yeah, working in ZBrush was fun. I haven't sculpted for a long time. One of the reasons why I stopped sculpting is I'd see so much stuff online that was just beautiful, like beautiful renders. And when I'd sculpt, you know, I was, you know, still very much a newbie, that, you know, I'd look at my renders and go, this doesn't really look good enough, you know. And so I'd stop, I'd scrap it, and then, you know, I'd give up. It wasn't until I got my 3D scanner and actually started using it and scanning some of my Mirrors of Toulon figures, scanning other people's miniatures, that I realized, you know, a scanned hand sculpted figure, the render looks absolutely terrible. But when you print that out, it actually looks completely different. It looks just like a hand-sculpted figure. And that sadly didn't happen until quite recently. So Now, having played around in ZBrush for a little bit, making these, you know, tree trunks for these algae trees, or I guess for any type of tree, I'm gonna have to jump back in there and you know, try again, see what I can make. But for the moment, I'm all over the place. I'm really, I'm so excited. I think I was saying, you know, I was watching some YouTube and I saw some of Trent's videos where he was, you know, obviously using Blender to create, you know, greeblies and bits and pieces for his tables, and, you know, whenever he needed anything, you know, he had the option of being able to, you know, jump into Blender and create a, you know, a 3D part, a 3D piece to print off. And so I thought, look, I can do that. I'll jump into ZBrush. I'll sculpt myself this tree trunk. So that way I can make building a big forest. I've got hundreds of these trees. Much, much easier and much, much quicker. If I don't have to sculpt each of the trunks separately. Those girls really having a good time over there. If I don't have to sculpt each of the trunks separately, then it makes things much, much faster. Much, much faster. Now, some of these didn't print out properly. I'm not 100% sure why. But that's an issue for later Viv to really worry about. I don't know if it was a problem I had when I was laying things up in Lychee. Some of them seem to have printed fine. Some of them seem to have pulled away a little bit and are a little bit misprinted. I don't know if that's a setting problem with the printer or how I've laid things up on the plate in Lychee. But I'll have a look and I'm sure I'll figure that out. But this has got me so excited. You know, I've got all these bits and pieces, all these tools, all these things I've bought over the years and never done anything with. Ah, we dropped one. That it's nice to be able to start using them. It's really got me enthused. Now I'm very well aware, as I've been looking over the last couple of days at stuff on my mini factory, and I've been thinking, you know, why would I even be bothered scratch building anything? You know, everything can just be bought and printed, and so I need to make sure that I'm aware of that. And so, you know, I don't just get stuck into this cycle of, you know, just trying to print things. I don't have an FDM printer that works properly. I would like to get one. And I'm sure at some stage I'll be looking at printing terrain. With my laser cutter out of operation, it's been nice just to get on with some other projects while, you know, we wait, because I can't really use that inside the house here, inside the garage, inside the games room here. It's just not feasible in terms of hooking up extraction and stuff. But being able to do stuff like this, you know, I've been making some fences and, you know, those rocky outcroppings. It's been so much fun. And so it would have been nice to include this in, you know, the vlog that was up yesterday or recently, or I'm not sure when this one will go up. I'm all over the place right now. I'm doing so many different things that, and I'm really bad with my file management. Well, not file management, but planning, I suppose, because I'm working on multiple different things at the same time, and I don't really script anything. There's no story. Things are piling up and sort of getting lost, and I'm confusing myself with what I'm doing. But this is so much fun. So I think this one here, well, I don't think, I know, I will put this up on my Patreon. I really need to do something there. I've been so fortunate that, you know, I've got people on the Patreon who are paying money monthly for really nothing on the Patreon. You know, the only pledge that's there is like a, you know, a thank you pledge, basically, for, you know, all of the projects I've done in the past, you know, on Knights of Dice, on Rubbish In, Rubbish Out, on Battle Bunker TV. To just say thanks, Viv, for all of the content. Thanks for the motivation. Thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for the lessons. Thanks for all the hints and tips, all the terrain guides, tutorials, all that sort of stuff. And so there's a handful of people who have been there now for a while, slinging me a couple of bucks each month. And I need to start doing something about that. I do want to get my terrain on there, the MDF kits. This is so sick. Anyway, the girls are here. It's time for some playtime. I'm going to fish out some more trees. I'm so excited. So yeah, this little tree trunk will be available on the Patreon. You do need to be a member. Don't need to be a paid member, but I think you need to be a member for me to put files on there. Excuse me. I'm not sure. It'll be a good chance to see how Patreon organizes their files and stuff. So, you know, it's a good step towards getting, you know, a monthly Patreon system for the KOD kits that people have been asking for a long time and that I've been talking about and I've mentioned previously. Anyway, I'm rambling. There's no plan. There's plenty of things going on right now. There's fences, there's rocky outcrops, there's crates, barrels. I printed out some carts. They're super cute. There's lots going on.